Hey lovelies, it's Imogen and welcome to my video. In this video, I'm going to be doing a few different pen swatching things. By the end of this video, I will have shown you pretty much all of the pens and the inks that I think that I want to use this year, which is going to include some stamping inks. I wanted to just quickly swatch a couple of pens in the Scribbles that matter. So we're going to jump to the back. Now, as I said in my unboxing video, this page is a wasted page because it's so thick that if you did a pen test on here, you wouldn't be able to tell if it bled through or ghosted through or anything on the other side. So there's a little bit of a wasted page. Maybe you could use it for like testing colors more than testing out the pens themselves, maybe. So we're going to jump onto this page and I'm just going to swatch a couple of pens and then I will be back later in this video, probably somewhere else, and I will have a few other pens and the inks, blah, blah, blah. So first of all, we're going to use the, what are we going to use? We're going to use the pen that actually came with us. So this is the, these Scribbles that matter. Actually, this is quite a nice pen. It's got like, if you've ever used like a Stabilo or any kind of pen like that, it's that kind of thing. It does have a little bit of gum on the end there, which I just wiped off, and it is a O4, and I actually quite like it. I'm not used to triangular pens, but actually that feels really nice in my hand. So it's interesting, and then it doesn't really ghost and or bleed. I mean, I can barely see some like very faint ghosting if I like really look, but you have to really look at the sort of this part, whereas the text, etc. didn't. So let's do a smudge. It doesn't really smudge. That was like, I wrote it straight away. So I'm not even mad at that pen. Next, I anticipate the Sharpie Permanent Marker Ultra Fine is gonna go through. So let's see. Yeah, I don't think it actually says what kind of nib point this is. But let's see, did it go through? Yes, as anticipated, it does go through. Maybe bleeds through like a tiny bit, but I 100% anticipated that. And like for smudging, I'm gonna be honest, I probably wouldn't use this in this anyway. I literally just bought it to go with the clear sticky notes that I mentioned in my last video. And then I have the TomBow, let's see, Fudenosuke. I think that's how we pronounce it. And I did get the soft tip and the hard tip jaw pack. So I believe, does it say on it which is which? I know they're both water-based pigment inks in black. One has like a blue body and the other has a black body, but you can barely tell. In fact, both bodies look quite black, but there is like a slight difference. One's more like a bluey black if I'm looking at it dead close. And it does say on the packaging that the black one is a soft tip and the blue black one is a hard tip. So if we use the black one first, so these are definitely something you'd have to get used to using. It does smudge, so it would be something that you would have to write it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so it needs like a 5 sort of imperfect seconds. Let's see what that looks like on the other side. So there is no ghosting, no bleeding. Very, very faint ghosting. About as much ghosting as the pen that came with this book. So that's quite impressive. And then we've got the hard points. So we've got the, oh yeah, you can definitely tell a difference. So again, it does smudge if you write and then straight away. So if you do wait like the 5 seconds, you will get a better non-smudge. It is something you would have to practice with. Now, my handwriting is not the best at all. And I'm really bad at like calligraphy. But if you were going to do like, I can do like faux calligraphy. So if you were doing an A, for example. No, I just can't. I'm not even going to try. So if I just grab a black Pilot G207. Do my usual. I know what this looks like. So what does that look like on the ghosting front? It did kind of bleed through a little bit where the ink had like sat on the end of my pen. So when I wrote the B, so it might be something you have to start on scratch paper before writing in here, but otherwise it should. There was like ghosting where they did the B, but the rest of it goes just about as much as the Scribbles or the other pens, apart from obviously the ultrafine Sharpie, which we knew that was going to have problems. And then the smudge test in this, yeah, it smudges. So yeah, you would have to like wait 5 seconds. So there's a general rule. I mean, like, I don't sit there and write and then like put my hand, like smudge over it. That's not something I do. Lefties may have a bit more of a problem, but I am a righty, so it's not really a problem to me. I will end up setting up quite a few more pages of pen testing, so we can have a look at different pens.
So here we are, over a month later, and I'm finally back with the majority of the pens that I have ordered, and also the stamping inks. I'm going to be honest, I actually forgot to do smudge testing. However, the majority of these pens are going to need a 5-second dry time to prevent any smudging. So first of all, I have the Muji Black 0.5 pen. And then I have the Uni-Pin, and I have them in black. I have them in 0.1, 0.4, and 0.5. I also have them in the 0.1 and the 0.5 in both light grey and also in the dark grey. I also got one of those crinkle pens where you pull down the lever and it causes the body to, I want to say, corrugate on itself. You'll know what I mean, but I will insert a little clip here if you don't. I was really impressed with all of those pens because none of them ghosted, none of them bled through. You like really had to look really hard to find any ghosting with these. Even with the very juicy mechanical pen, I was very impressed with this because it was very black, very inky, and even that didn't seem to have any issues with ghosting through or bleeding through onto the back page.
Okay, so I did want to get the 5-pack of greys in the Moonlight Jelly Roll pens, but they don't have the pack of 5 in the UK. So I had a look and it was like, if you got this, you doubled up on like 1 pen if you bought this, and you'd end up with 4 of the pens out of the 5. And I was like, well, I wanted the new to colour. They've been on my wish list for a couple of years now anyway. So I was like, it's no great shakes to me if I spend the money and get these pens and these pens for less than what it would have cost me to get the 5 pens and import them. But I've just figured, or just found out, that you actually get all 5 pens. You get the 440, the 444, 441, 445, and 446. So that is all of, I think that's all the grey pens. Yeah, so like, or at least that's the 5 that are in the grey set that I wanted. But I'm really happy because I've got those, and that's what I wanted.
So these pens are all in the O5 size. I'm really impressed with them. They write beautifully and they don't really ghost or bleed through either. So I'm definitely going to be getting a lot of use of these pens in this bullet journal. Here I am testing out a Uniball Silver Signo, and I love the white. I love the silver. They actually just write beautifully. The white is a little bit difficult to see on white paper, but the silver is just beautiful, and I wish you could see how gorgeous it actually is. It's definitely something that I'm going to be accenting a lot of my pages with, the silver. I did also get me a fountain pen. It has been some 20 years since I was in school using a fountain pen. I didn't want to buy an expensive fountain pen and then decide actually it's not for me. So I bought an inexpensive, I think it was a 30-degree angle pen, and yeah, it's going to take some getting used to using it. I'm not very clever or very clued up, but we will give it a go and see how we get on. I don't know what the ink is that came with the fountain pen. It's just a regular black ink, which is probably not good. And the tip size is a 0.7, I believe. I also grabbed a couple of the Pentel Fude touch pens. I actually got the black, the dark grey, the light grey, and I got a tealy colour, but I didn't swatch the tealy colour in here, but now I kind of wish that I did. These are very much on par with the TomBow Fude brush pens that I swatched earlier. I think I prefer these ones, but it's definitely going to be a very big learning curve with any kind of brush pen when you're not used to this kind of medium. So now for the moment of truth. I am incredibly surprised that there is no ghosting, no bleeding, no nothing, no shadowing. Like, this is very impressive, especially given that I used these Pentel Fude pens. So I decided to use the Pentel Fude Black and just do a black box, and then try writing over it with the white Signo, which it didn't really work in all honesty, but later I used that same white pen on some blackout paper and it was beautiful. I'm also going in with my trusty Pentel clicker. I truly do love this pencil. I have 3 of them apparently. And I just wanted to test out using my pencil on this, but also using the TomBow Mono Eraser to see how well that rubs out. And actually, I'm really loving the TomBow Mono Eraser. It is going to definitely be my new go-to eraser for rubbing out pencil. Now, I was going to leave the top of the page so that I could do my ink swatching there, but I decided that that would be better done on a clean blank page, so I do have a little bit of extra room there to be able to swatch in the future. So even though I decided that I'm definitely going to be doing black and white in this book, that I wanted to swatch my Pilot G207 pens because I just wanted to see what they looked like on this particular paper. Obviously, there will be some smudging. We know that because I don't know why I swatched the black pen twice, because I definitely did it before and now I'm doing it again today. I also used that black Fude pen again so that I could swatch the white Pilot G207. However, it really didn't work out very well, and it also didn't work out very well on the blackout paper either. And here I have a Pentel Energise, which I have no idea how I have this in my collection, but I have it in navy blue, and I thought I might as well swatch this while I'm here. So I was pleasantly surprised to find that there was no real ghosting or shadowing of any kind, definitely no bleeding with these pens on this paper. I don't know what happened before. I think it was because maybe there had been a bit of ink like gummed up on the nib that caused it to have a shadowing effect before, but definitely this time I had zero issues with any of the coloured pens, including the black. So we're on to stamping inks, and as I said before, I decided to start a fresh blank page so I was able to put all of these particular inks together. I'm starting out with Distress ink and black soot, and what I decided to do was to use the same stamp, which has sort of a mass and also some finer lines to it, and to just literally stamp it down quickly, and then also to stamp it down again but hold it onto the paper for 5 seconds. I was hoping this would be able to give me different results or the same results, but see if they bled more into the paper. I wanted to see if it bled through the pages by holding the stamp on the paper for longer. I finally got my hands on some Distress Oxides. So next up, I used the Distress Oxide, also in black soot. Now the difference between the two inks, I believe, is that the Distress ink is a dye-based ink that goes straight into the paper, whereas the Distress Oxide is a mixture of dye-based ink and pigment, which means while it should still go into the paper, it should also sit on the surface, or it should sit on the surface more. I'm not 100% on the science behind it. However, a lot of people say that you can use Distress Oxides in bullet journals where you might not be able to use your Distress inks because they tend to really bleed and ghost. So this is the experiment to see how these turn out. Next, I use the Distress ink in Hickery Smoke, and again with the quick stamping on and then also holding it onto the book for 5 seconds. And then I went ahead and repeated the same with the Distress Oxide. I then used my pumice stone, which actually seems a lot more of a beigey brown than a grey. And I think the Distress Oxide looks more of like a beigey, more what I'd expect antique linen to be than a grey. And finally, I used the newest ink, which is the Lost Shadow. And I repeated that with the Distress ink and then also with the Distress Oxide, repeating the test again. I found it very interesting that the same colours in the Distress ink and also in the Distress Oxide were different colours. I feel like if I do wish to go ahead and use the Distress inks, even though I have got a feeling that they're going to bleed through, it's nice to have more greys, more grey options. Or I could even stamp on another piece of card or something and then use it as a tip-in. It's still nice to have those extra greys. And then finally I decided to swatch my VersaFine Black Onyx ink and also my VersaFine Clair Grey, which is the Morning Mist. Those two are archivals, that they are dye-based inks, and I actually expected them to ghost a lot more than they did. I'm really impressed with these. There's no point on me getting the black VersaFine Clair because it is pretty much the same ink, or so I'm told. I do have a whole bunch of chalk inks and some metallic inks and some pigment inks, and I don't know why I did not bring them to test here, but I may bring them and test them in a video at some point in the future. So how did our inks do? Well, on camera it does look like there's some ghosting, maybe a little bit of bleeding, but in person it was a bit worse than how it's looking on camera, if I'm being truthful. There was definitely quite a lot of ghosting from all of the inks, specifically more the Distress inks, and there was some minor bleed through, which I think for me really isn't going to be a problem. So overall, it was really nice to swatch these inks and to see how the different inks looked on this particular paper. I may go ahead and swatch the Distress Oxides on my blackout, but for now, I think this will definitely do it. And I hope this helped somebody if they were looking at the 120 GSM scribbles that matter with these particular inks. Hope to help somebody. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a really long one, I know. I'm sorry. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sure if you definitely stayed to the end. And I will see you next time. Take care. Bye. Subscribe.